If everyone can begin to take their seats, we'd like to begin with the presentation. Good evening and welcome. My name is Carmen Christiana, District 3 Outreach Coordinator for Baltimore County Executive Johnny Olszewski Jr.'s Office of Community Engagement. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you here for our 6th Budget Town Hall series. Having open and honest conversations with the people of Baltimore County about their budget priorities sustains our commitment to the accessible and responsive government that our residents deserve. We strive to build a better Baltimore County together by focusing on sustainable and equitable opportunities for all. Our budget determines our priorities and aspirations for the upcoming year, and we're proud to continue holding conversations with our residents so they can remain an essential part of this process. Before we begin, I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank Delaney High School for their hospitality and for hosting this evening's town hall, and invite Principal Samuel Winecoop up for a few words.
Usually it's a pep rally at this point, and I'd have everybody screaming, but we'll leave that for later. My name's Sam Winecoop. Welcome, principal of Delaney High School. You all are here tonight to engage in something that I feel is very important, especially as we teach our kids to be future leaders in our society, and that is to engage with our elected officials. And the thing that happens when we do that is voices are heard, and those things are carried back to make policy, to help budgets, to do different things like that. And I know that I'm very proud that this is happening here. I'm glad that Johnny is here tonight. I just want to welcome all the elected officials and the staff that are here. I'd like to welcome teachers and educators who are in here. And I'd like to also welcome all the constituents that made it out tonight. Now, I know he's standing right over there, and there's going to be a formal introduction. But I'd be remiss if I didn't tell a story about one of the first times I met Johnny. A long time ago, I won't put any years on it, but it was when I had more hair. And at the school that I was at that time, we had a fundraiser basketball game where the teachers would play against the councilman. And Johnny's father was one of the councilmen, and we always used to whoop him. Well, one time when we showed up, they kept looking at us and kind of winking and saying, "We brought a ringer." And I thought, well, who could that be? And in walks a handsome guy, just like that, and he just happened to have to guard me. Now, it may not look like it, but I will tell you this. If he works as hard on the budget as he did that night against this guy, y'all gonna be in great shape. Thank you for coming out tonight. I'm going to pass it back over to Carmen.
Thank you. Tonight we'll begin our fiscal year 2025 budget discussions here in District 3, hosted by your County Executive, Johnny Olszewski Jr. We also welcome Ryan Freed, District 3 Chief of Staff, here on behalf of Councilman Kach. After the County Executive's budget presentation, our residents will have an opportunity to share their budget-related priorities within the allotted time of 90 seconds at one of the designated microphones located here in front of the auditorium. The County Executive and department heads will listen to your inquiries, concerns, and ideas. If we cannot answer a question tonight, we will have a coordinator from the Office of Community Engagement or designated department representative follow up with you. Tonight's town hall will conclude by 8:30 p.m. Those unable to provide their testimony in person by 8:30 p.m. may still submit requests for consideration by emailing townhall@baltimorecountymd.gov. If you have come with a group, we ask that you please designate one spokesperson to share your group's budget priority. Group members may stand in support when your priority is being shared. If you have already heard the same budget priority shared tonight, we ask that you defer your time so that we can hear as many priorities as possible. And now it's my pleasure to welcome Ryan Freed for his remarks.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ryan Freed. I am Wade Kach's Chief of Staff. He sends his regards tonight. He is sick with the flu, so we hope he feels better. But his staff, myself, Joanne Kozak, and Roger Yeager are here to hear your priorities as we help you in advocating for the budget. So we look forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. And now, it's my pleasure and honor to welcome your County Executive, Johnny Olszewski, Jr.
Thank you, Carmen. Good evening, everyone. It is so good to be with you in the beautiful 3rd District tonight. Sorry, I lose track of these. We have like one every week. So it is great to be with all of you. It really is a beautiful district, and privileged to have the opportunity to partner with all of you and Councilman Kach. As his Chief of Staff indicated, we know he's under the weather, but I had a chance to chat with Wade before I came here, and he does send his regards. He and I don't agree on every issue, but we have found a way to be respectful, to drive progress, not just for District 3, but for all of Baltimore County. And I do appreciate the ways in which he has been a fierce advocate for this district, for the needs of the constituents we represent together. And I think that is a model that we need more of, quite frankly. And so I know he's not here, but I want to thank him in his absence for his partnership these past many years. I'm looking forward to working with him and his colleagues on the council in the year ahead as we finish this budget cycle. Speaking of elected officials, I know that Corey Johns is also here representing Delegate Michelle Guyton, who represents the area, so I wanted to make sure that I acknowledge your presence as well. I don't know if Principal Weinkoop is still here, but I think I still have a few bruises from the boxing out that we did a couple times. Thank you, my friend, thank you for your hospitality and for hosting us here. We'll talk about this in the presentation tonight, but we are very pleased that because of your feedback and your input, we are able to be moving forward on building a new Delaney High School, and so this is a great place to have our conversation tonight. I also just want to take a moment to thank not just Carmen, but Mandy Remmel and all of the members of our Office of Community Engagement who work and coordinate to set up these events, to all of our departments and our leaders for their presence here tonight, led by our Administrative Officer, Stacy Rogers. But you, as you've come to expect and experience, we have department leaders from all of our agencies to answer any questions and do any follow-ups as well. So let's jump right in and talk about the year ahead. These, again, as I said, have been really rewarding and important conversations for me in this role. They've allowed us to really drive a lot of progress together. They brought thousands of residents to the table to help us overcome a significant structural deficit, to make record investments in our schools and educators, to have more strategic and thoughtful investments, and to make sure that we're doing things like investing in ag preservation and sustainability and our recreation and parks needs. That has been a true reflection of your participation. I hope that you find that these budgets, to the extent we're able, with the limitations we're going to discuss tonight, truly are a reflection of the values and needs of our communities. So let's have a quick overview of what our budget looks like, where the money comes and where the money comes and where it goes. Our current total operating budget, which is the day-to-day support for our workforce, our basic services, our salaries, our pensions, our healthcare obligations, and our contractors. The bulk of that money comes from property and income taxes. That is a $4.4 billion budget in the current fiscal year. In addition to our operating budget, we also have a capital budget, which over the course of several fiscal years is well over $3 billion. That's money that comes largely from bonds and cash. It pays for construction projects like the new Delaney High School, our new police stations and renovations to those, our community centers, the modernization and repair of our shared water system with Baltimore City. And a lot of that actually comes from those bonding initiatives that you will see again this year on your ballot in November. A lot of the bonds and the borrowing goes to our capital budget. And then we are occasionally, when the county has some excess funding that can't be put into the operating budget, and I'll explain what the limitations are there, why we don't put it all in the operating budget. But if we have a little bit of extra cash, we will also do what's called pay-as-you-go in the capital, which is a one-time capital infusion of cash on top of those bonds and that borrowing to invest in some of the capital infrastructure across the county. In addition to our standard budgets, we also have once-in-a-lifetime money given to us from the American Rescue Act. Baltimore County was allotted $160 million. Under law, we have to have that money obligated by the end of this year. Of the $160 million, almost all of it has been allocated. The little bit that is left, we are leaving for any last-minute changes or needs, but I will say that this also was done through tremendous public input and in partnership through roundtables, town halls, et cetera. And so hopefully you all see when you go visit our dashboard that this is money that has been well spent to invest in and support our communities. Talking about where we are in this year's budget, those of you who know me know that education is one of the things that I get really excited about, that we've prioritized investing in. In this fiscal year that we're currently in, fiscal year 24, we have exceeded the state mandated requirements of how much we have to give to our school system by $71 million this year. That is the largest single year increase of maintenance of effort by both dollar and percentage in the county's history. It also builds on a number of investments that we've made in the past. We've already hired more teachers, more counselors, more pupil personnel workers, more social workers to support our classroom. This year's budget also put forward pre-K educators, paraeducators, English as second language teachers, additional athletic trainers. Again, all of this is currently in this year's budget. We're very proud of what we've been able to do. Baltimore County, among salary, we've actually gone from middle of the pack to some of the highest wages in the state, including, I believe, the second highest starting salary currently in the state of Maryland for our teachers. In addition to investing in the people in the classroom, we also want to invest in the physical infrastructure and space. That's why we put forward over a $3 billion plan over the next decade to ensure that we can meet the needs of all of our school communities. The current fiscal year budget has $210 million this year alone for school construction, and that includes a lot of money for investments here in District 3. Locally, that means $12 million in this year's budget to make sure the planning and design of Delaney High School, the new Delaney High School, is moving forward. Money for a new roof at Loch Raven, a renovation and addition at Pine Grove Middle School, paying for the balance of that construction. And then you'll notice elementary, middle, and high school investments, over $32 million in this year's budget moving forward. I know we get a lot of questions about Delaney specifically, so I wanted to do a call-out slide with the timeline. And again, this is a BCPS-led effort, so Baltimore County does not control the plans, the reviews, the permits. This is all done in partnership and through our school system. But as we understand the current timeline, there is ongoing community outreach that started back in January. Through 24 is a design phase. Once that's done, there will be a bid phase heading into 2025, and we do believe and expect that there will be a groundbreaking in mid to late 2025. And it's our commitment that the dollars will continue to flow as needed to support each step of that construction. We don't stop funding education at the K-12 level. We believe very much in the pre-K to career pipeline. And so I've been very proud to be an early and frequent investor in the Community College of Baltimore County. We have now frozen in-county tuition for all residents for 5 years in a row. So in-county tuition has not changed since we've been in office. And then on top of that, we've made the investment in partnership with Dr. Kurt Nitis and the Community College to say that any family or any person making $150,000 or less should have access to our community college for free. And that's not just for a 2-year degree. That's also if you want to pursue a credential or a certificate. Our community college is open and available to our residents. I want to flag that in the administration's proposal and something called the Budget Reconciliation and Financing Act, or the BRFA, this is something that Delegate Guyton and others are dealing with now. It was proposed to them. That there is actually a fairly significant reduction proposed in funding of community colleges. And so if that funding cut becomes real, it will become very difficult for us to sustain the kind of investments of freezing tuition and making our community college free to most of our families in the years ahead. So we will continue working with the governor, with our delegation, to impress upon them the importance of sustaining those prior year investments in our community college system. In addition to CCBC, we're very proud to be a supporter of our library. In prior years, we have made our system fine-free so that if you are late, it's okay. You can still just take the book back and not worry about a fine. We have seen that has actually led to the return of much more books. It's encouraged more residents to come to our libraries. We've also invested, as you can see, significant dollars in libraries throughout the county, investments that we hope to continue in the years ahead. Likewise, we're investing significantly in this year's budget in public safety, $7 million in this year's budget alone for take-home vehicles. As I'm sure you can imagine, there are some supply chain challenges in getting those cars actually produced. But if you are a county police officer who works in patrol and you live in Baltimore County now, as these cars become available, you will see more and more police cars throughout your communities across Baltimore County under that program. We're also investing in our precincts, and I will say that our investments in both our police officers, coupled with a lot of upstream investments in violence interruption and behavioral health and recreation and parks and youth summer employment, that holistic approach has really proven to be a model for success. Just one example is looking at our numbers. We've seen a 15% year-over-year decrease from last year in homicides and a dramatic 47% decrease from 2021. All numbers are at or near historic lows in terms of crime and safety across Baltimore County. We also want to keep investing in and supporting our fire department and our amazing volunteers through the BCV, the Baltimore County Volunteer Fire Department team. And that is everything from capital expenses, again, at some new fire stations, investing more in our revolving loan fund for our volunteers, paying for those second sets of turnout gears, having some of the highest pay in the state, just affirming and letting them know how much we appreciate the good work that they do. We're also investing in sustainability. There's $4.4 million in this year's budget for waterway restoration at Metfield and Milldam streams. We also have money across Baltimore County for shoreline stabilization, and new in this year's budget is an attempt to pilot out floating wetlands to see if they actually have an impact in improving our water quality. We've also expanded things like textile and electronic recycling programs at our dumps. You can go and recycle your textiles, your electronics. You can actually also recycle your oyster shells if you're so inclined. We've continued to invest in our Operation Retreat program. We have a full forestry division now in our Department of Environmental Protection and Sustainability, thanks to the advocacy of residents across Baltimore County. And then over in eastern Baltimore County, we continue to fight back against the infestation that is known as midges. We're investing in water infrastructure, including $15 million this year for replacements along York and throughout Timonium and Fox Chapel. That is in this year's budget. And then turning to parks, we have over $60 million of capital projects for parks and open space. Specific to District 3, there's $5.4 million for Cromwell Valley Park Pavilion, parking lot, and deer fence this year, money for Belfast Road Park design, Cloverland Park improvements, and that is on top of significant prior investments where we are looking to partner with communities to make $10 million of investment at Oregon Ridge to really make that gem shine again, as well as $3.5 million in prior funding for Cromwell Valley as well. Speaking of rec, we are in the process of modernizing that department and how we interact with the public through a civic rec platform. We are so grateful for the amazing recreation councils and nature councils that we have here in Baltimore County. They are a true partner. I think we're on the next slide, whoever's handling the slides, unless we're stuck. There we go. They are a true partner and asset, but we know that we have learned in recent months that we've actually been operating outside of best practices and frankly outside of county code that's inconsistent. So we're actually looking to modernize our systems to do things like put our pavilions and our rec programming online so that it's more accessible for all of our residents so that you know when opportunities are available. We want to invite you in and to be part of it. And so we're looking forward to continuing the conversation around the rec reimagination and modernization process. We continue to invest in roads and transit to move our residents around. This year's budget has significant dollars, over $40 million of total investment for things like road resurfacing and sidewalk improvements, another 3.5 of that towards road safety audits countywide. We are also investing in raised sidewalks to help make sure that our pedestrian crossings are safe, over almost $300,000 at the corridors and locations listed on the slide. We also are investing significantly in bridges. We're very proud to have reopened the Phoenix Road Bridge with Councilman Kach. This is, I know it was a long-standing challenge. I will say that we have over $8 million in place to continue progress at places like Warren Road, Patterson Road, Ridge Road, Cuba Road, South Rule Road, and Stabersville Road. Just for context, we know that these are actually oftentimes city-owned and operated bridges, and so we are happy, and we're always at the table putting forward the funding and our portion of those construction dollars, but we also have to rely on the city to do their part to both put forward their funding and to make sure that those processes are moving along so those bridges are being replaced, but the county remains fully committed to doing our share to ensure that gets done. We were proud to unveil the county's first ever countywide comprehensive bike and ped master plan. We have hundreds of thousands of dollars already available to begin some initial investments. We know that we're going to have to put more into this plan to get it done, but certainly look forward to your feedback as to how we can be supportive there. We've launched the Towson Loop. It's our first ever fixed route transit service to provide free public transportation. We've had over 150,000 riders to date, despite launching it in the middle of a pandemic. We have also expanded our county ride service to Saturdays. We've permanently eliminated fees for county ride, and we believe that the Loop in particular provides a roadmap that long-term we would love to see replicated in other communities across Baltimore County. We're also preparing for the future with a new paver system. That's not actually how we pave our roads, but it's related to how we pave our roads. This is a data and evidence-based approach to managing our roadways. We now have a score for every mile of road across Baltimore County. This is something that will help us ensure that we can advocate for equitable and transparent funding as we go about the issue of road resurfacing. We talked a little bit about the concerning potential cuts to the community college. That would be a new cut. I wanted to just mention in the context of road resurfacing and fixed route transit and sidewalk and bridge investments, that Baltimore County has traditionally relied on the state to be a partner to help make those investments through something known as highway user revenues. And this is one of the models that has really been, I think, not talked about a lot, but I've been using the town halls to highlight the fact that back in 2009, Baltimore County was getting about $45 million a year from the state of Maryland to help with those, to help be a partner on those transportation needs, on the roads, the resurfacing of roads, the sidewalks, the bridges, the bike and ped plans. During the Great Recession, that was cut to its current level of about $13.8 million. So over the course of that time, that funding has not really been fully restored. We've lost the equivalent of $450 million. Now, to put $450 million in context, that's how much it would cost us if we were to just take all of the roads that we've now identified their condition to bring them up to like average scores. That says nothing of our needs to invest in roads and sidewalks and the bike and ped plan and expanding things like the loop, which is also supported in other jurisdictions. So other local transit is supported by this thing called LOTS. This year we actually doubled our amount from $450,000 to $980,000, but we are still 50 times behind what our peers in Montgomery County get under this program, even though we're about the same size jurisdiction. So again, this is a place where we're pushing the Maryland Department of Transportation and just sort of highlighting the fact that there are opportunities to partner, because again, we recognize we have to make these investments locally too. But if we want to spend more on road resurfacing, sidewalks, bike and ped, bridges, transit, we have to find a partnership. In these conversations, we've also heard loud and clear that we have to do more and partner with you to address other needs in the communities. We are very proud, for example, to have launched the New Americans Task Force, which among other priorities that we heard through the town hall has highlighted the need for more access to health care for our immigrant communities and our new Americans. We've also heard loud and clear about the need to do more on sexual assault victims and to expedite the testing of cold case evidence so that those survivors can get resolution and justice. We're very proud that we have expedited years ahead of the timeline that work, and we expect to have all of that testing done by the end of this year. Also, in response to what we've heard in prior town halls, we now have a working group to support the victims of sexual assault and domestic violence, and looking forward to their recommendations as well. Finally, we've made significant investments that are sustained in cultural anchors across the region, including significant investments, and we actually doubled our investment in shock trauma. Very personal to me, in this past year, I had the occasion to see how the bravery of their colleagues, their own actions, and shock trauma ultimately saved the lives of two of our own heroes, Officer Jordan and Detective Chi. And so these institutions are worthy of our investments. I'm very proud that we were able to increase our investment there. Last issue before talking about the budget is our seniors. Older adults account for 25% of our county's population, so we continue our support of and investment in things like No Senior Eats Alone, the Because program that we created in partnership with the Weinberg Foundation, where we allow our seniors to stay in place, to age in place. We've stood up the Baltimore County Volunteer Center, where there are volunteer opportunities for people of all ages. And again, we're making those capital investments in our senior centers across the state, including we continue making progress on both a new Jacksonville Senior Center and a new North County Senior Center. All of those projects continue along with the planning and design subsequent to the purchase of land for the North County Senior Center, as well as we're going to be using the land adjacent to the Jacksonville Center for its new location. So I talked about some of the limitations on the general fund spending, that operational spending. And you might reasonably ask yourself, why don't you just put more money into the operating budget to do even more in our communities? Well, every year, Councilman Kach and his colleagues, through the Spending Affordability Committee, basically set a ceiling through which they say, we don't want to see a budget that has any more growth than this amount. And so every year, I use that to give my department heads targets to submit budgets for me to consider. In our current fiscal year budget, that percentage is 4.79% growth off of the prior year's budget. That translates into $114 million of quote-unquote new money. Just for context, the current the budget ahead actually has a smaller number, although 4.79 was one of the larger numbers we've had, but we actually will have a smaller growth factor in the upcoming fiscal year budget that's been set recently by the county. Now, a lot of that gets gobbled up by things that are baked in, things like our retiree health care, OPEB, ensuring that we have retirement. So 18% is sort of baked in, things that we have to fund to make sure that we keep funding our programs or our commitments to employees. But from there, we invested in the most important asset we have, which is our people, our employees. So 42% of this year's growth is in salary increases for our county employees. 31% of our investment went towards that school system growth that we talked about. And the bulk of that 31% went to, you guessed it, salary increases. The 5% went to CCBC to do things like support that College Promise program. Only 4% of that new amount went to new programs. And among that, it was everything from addressing the crossing guard crisis that we identified. And so we raised the salary and brought on a contractor to help us have more people staff our school crossings. We created what I think is a nation-leading student loan debt relief program for county employees. It was a $500,000 pot of money that has now already seen over $500,000 worth of applications from hundreds of employees. We did additional sets of turnout gear for our firefighters and volunteers. We created a medical duty officer program to help move our ambulances through long emergency room wait times, and we move forward with additional resources towards an Office of Agriculture. So those are some of the challenges ahead. There are some challenges ahead because, I've always been honest with you all about what we can and can't do, what are some of the challenges, and we've already covered some of the uncertainty around the state budget. The governor had said when the state catches a cold, local governments catch the flu. And so whether it's the continued cuts of highway user, the proposed cuts to things like the CADE formula for our community colleges, we're really sort of uncertain about how the state's going to tackle their long-term challenges. We also are seeing at both the state and local level the ending of the American Rescue dollars. So in addition to our money no longer being there, our school system is grappling with that. The state is grappling with that. We've also seen rapid increases in the cost of everything. Cost of construction buildings, our retiree health care costs have all gone significantly up. And I think I mentioned the inflation. Speaking of capital needs, just in the year ahead, if we were to do every single project that we could possibly do, there is a backlog or a request list of over $300 million just for Baltimore County buildings alone, between road and infrastructure, rec and parks, police and fire stations. That is on top of the $3 billion plan that we have for schools that we want to keep ensuring that we make those investments. So as we sort of consider requests, I will just reinforce that the operating requests will be tighter, even more so than last year, because there'll be a smaller growth factor. And we are seeing even larger increase in the baked-in costs on things like healthcare and retiree costs. And then we also will be limited in tackling a lot of big new capital projects, again, because our costs are going up. And we want to make sure that we are honoring the commitments that we've made. We want to make sure that we build the new Delaney High School. We want to make sure that we're moving forward with the police stations and the fire stations and the senior center. So as always, We want to continue to work with you if there are other places of need, but these have been incredibly useful in our budget discussions. So here is the timeline. We're doing town halls through March alongside Councilman Kach and the other districts. I will submit my budget to the council on April 11th, consistent with the feedback we've received. Through May, the council will review with agencies and have, I believe, one more public hearing, and then final approval usually happens before, but must happen by May 31st. So with that, thank you for indulging me. I hope this is helpful context. I'm going to invite Mandy Remmel up, our Director of Government Affairs, to go through instructions, and we look forward to hearing from all of you tonight. Thank you so much.
All right, so we are going to go ahead and move on to our budget testimony. Before everyone moves to the microphones, we do have some students in here this evening, and so we want to be mindful of the time since tomorrow is a school day. So if you have a student or a child, we ask that you come to the front of the line, the parents with the students. Please bring them to the front, and we will let them share their budget-related priorities so they can get to school tomorrow. We do ask that you please keep your comments. There is a time clock here in the front of the auditorium to your allotted 1 minute and 30 seconds. It will beep, and at the end of that beep, we ask you to please conclude. We do have two of our teammates here at the microphones that will ask you to wrap your testimony up again at the end of that. So please be mindful and stick to the time so that way we can get to everyone's testimony this evening. So thank you. We'll start with this lovely lady here in your lacrosse hoodie.
If that's not working, you can use this one, Jules.
Thank you, Mr. Olszewski, and for inviting me to speak tonight on a topic that is very important to me, my friends, and my family. My name is Kate Warnke, and I'm 9 years old. I'm a 4th grader at Jacksonville Elementary School. I play soccer, basketball, and lacrosse through Carroll Manor Rec. I have played here for 5 years. I love playing with my friends that I go to school with and that are in my community. We have great players, great coaches, great volunteers, and lots of fun learning how to play the sports we love. We are missing one big piece in our community, one piece that other rec councils have, one piece that other counties have, a turf field. Not just a turf field, but a turf field that we can play on, grow on, and learn on. A turf field that my community deserves. We've have had practices and games canceled due to the poor field conditions. I do not think this is fair. I do not want my teams to break up and move to other clubs and programs that have turf fields as I get older. My older brother has already seen this happen. We should stay together as a community and grow together as a community. I want to play for Carroll Manor, not a club that makes money off of youth sports, but I also want to be the best I can be, and we do not have the facilities to reach my goals. I'm going to attend the Naval Academy when I go to college, and I'm going to play lacrosse there. I am going to be an engineer, but I need your help to reach these goals. I need more than a letter of recommendation. I need a turf field. My program needs a turf field. My friends in my community need a turf field to grow on. Thank you for listening, and I can't wait to be the first girl to run out on our new fields.
Great job. Thank you. Do you want to take that? Thank you. Can I take your testimony? Awesome. Thank you. I think we have a future lobbyist, everybody. Thank you. Great job.
The Baltimore County Fire Department responds to 150,000 incidents each year. On the average, we meet 4 people each time we arrive, sometimes the whole community. Over the course of a 4-year election cycle, we will likely meet and greet the entire population of Baltimore County 3 times. Fire and EMS responds to your constituents' calls, often at the worst times of their life. Even when the results are not as great as we would like, the community thanks us and supports us. We, the fire department, are the human faces of your administration that everyone sees in person in their home. Your support of the fire department is critical for those faces to be happy and positive about life in Baltimore County. as is the closest reflection the voters see of how well your administration is performing. The lack of funding results in difficulty fully staffing apparatus, overstressed responders, and delayed care. This results in the interaction not being as positive as we'd like. Your residents will feel that you are not fulfilling your most critical needs to keep them alive and safe. They will be under the impression that you have failed. The fire and EMS is the most critical function of the Baltimore County government. It needs to be fully funded. There is no reason we are not an ISO Class 1 fire department other than budget cutting. In 2015, the volunteer EMS transport companies, ambulances, authorized Baltimore County to bill for our behalf for transports, with the promise we would be reimbursed for all reasonable expenses. We are still waiting for this contract to be fulfilled. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hola, buenas noches. I know you know me.
Good evening, I know you know me.
Bueno, el día de hoy estoy aquí para hablar en nombre de muchos de nuestros miembros que no tienen acceso al seguro de salud porque no nacieron en los Estados Unidos.
I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of many of our members that are not here and that do not have access to health care because they weren't born in this country.
Ellos contribuyen al bienestar del condado de Baltimore y sin embargo, cuando se enferman, no pueden ver a un médico al menos que vayan a una clínica comunitaria.
They all work and they contribute to the well-being of this community, to this county, and unfortunately, when they get sick, they have no access to care unless they go to a community health clinic.
La mayoría de las veces no pueden ser vistos y necesitan ir a una sala de emergencia.
Many times they're unable to be treated there and they have to turn to emergency rooms.
Creo que todos ellos tienen derecho a poder ver a un médico. Muchos están preocupados de que su familia se enferma y no pueden pagar la atención médica.
I believe that they deserve to have access to care. Many of them are worried that their families will get ill and they will not be able to see a doctor.
Muchos de ellos han sufrido terriblemente y necesitan ver a un terapeuta, pero no pueden porque no tienen seguro médico. Por favor, considere ampliar los servicios de las clínicas del condado.
Many of them have suffered tremendously. Many of them have traumas and things that they should see a therapist for, but cannot access that because they do not have health insurance. I ask you that you please expand the services offered at Baltimore County Health Clinics.
Last thing. Sé que hay un proyecto de la ley de atención médica que está escuchando en Annapolis y quiero pedirle, rogarle que nos apoye en ese sentido.
Last thing, I know that there's a legislation option in Annapolis being heard. I ask you, I beg you to please support this legislation.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Good evening, County Executive Olszewski. I want to acknowledge Councilman Kach. Hope you feel better, sir. And the citizens of District 3. I appreciate the outstanding support both of you have given the fire department throughout your tenure. My name is John Sabega. I am the president of Baltimore County Professional Firefighters and Paramedics, Local 1311. I used to represent approximately 1,040 members. Our numbers were down approximately 120 operational members. Last year, in 2023, the fire department, through EMS and fire calls, collectively responded over 224,000 times. As you know, we are currently struggling with hiring, recruitment, and retention. I know the budgetary process is currently happening, and that is why I'm here. The fire department is projected to be approximately $8 million over budget in overtime costs. To try and rein in this budget shortfall, the fire department has decided to close 2 engine company dailies on a rotating basis. We believe this is an unsafe and dangerous practice and needs to end. The recent Spending Affordability Committee identified a FY24 budget surplus. I respectfully request a small portion of that budget surplus be dedicated to restoring the fire engines to full staffing. We need your help. We need to invest in efforts to hire more EMS and fire personnel. We need to collectively solve long-standing problems and make the Baltimore County Fire Department the most attractive fire and EMS division in the state of Maryland to work for, where people want to start in their careers. Local 1311 appreciates all the progress we have made collectively on fire department issues and problems. Now is time to collectively move the fire department forward, invest in fixing long-standing issues fund additional EMS and fire staffing, and end the rotating closures of fire engines to save money. As always, you have my most sincerest obligation to you, County Executive Olszewski, and Councilman Kach to collaboratively work together and solve these issues. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight, and please be safe.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I note with thanks the additional members and leaders of IAFF who were I think, me also, yes. But appreciate the partnership we've developed and the fact that we have an open dialogue about addressing some of the challenges you've outlined. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos los representantes.
Good evening, everyone.
Mi nombre es Francisco Orellana, soy miembro de casa desde el 9 de junio de 2021.
My name is Francisco Orellana. I'm a member of CASA since July 2021.
Mi familia la conformamos mi esposa y mis tres hijas. Las dos menores son nacidas en USA.
My family consists of my wife and I and our three children. Our two youngest were born in the U.S.
Y mi esposa y mi hija mayor también son miembros de casa. Yo y mi familia estamos en el país desde 2008.
My wife and my daughter are also members of CASA. We've been living in the United States since 2008.
Lamentablemente no tengo permiso de trabajo ni social.
Unfortunately, I don't have a work permit or a social security number.
Tuve que salir del país en marzo de 2021, de 2020, perdón.
I had to return to my home country in 2021.
Regresé en 2021 y la impresión al ver a mi familia nuevamente, tuve problemas de salud, me dio parálisis facial.
The emotion and the stress of seeing my family caused me to have a facial paralysis.
Lo cual fui llevado al Hospital St. Joseph Medical Center y también tuve convulsiones a causa de lo mismo de la parálisis facial.
I ended up at St. Joseph's Hospital because of the complications of my health illness.
Estuve en el hospital aproximadamente 3 semanas. Tuve una operación la cual tuve que pagar al menos más de $8,000.
Among the procedures I had was also surgery to treat the complications of my illness. My medical bill was over $8,000.
Luego regresé al hospital por otra causa y me dijeron que no era nada y luego pues ellos no pudieron hacer nada y tuve que ir a un centro, a una clínica para homeless.
I had to return to the hospital and they told me it was nothing. I ended up at Healthcare for the Homeless for additional treatment.
Ellos me chequearon y en mi análisis de sangre vieron que un riñón no estaba funcionando bien.
In the analysis that they did at Healthcare for the Homeless, they discovered that one of my kidneys is not functioning.
Les quiero pedir, por favor, nos ayuden a nuestra comunidad, que somos los más afectados y sin ninguna ayuda posible, solo por no tener documentos. Gracias.
I would like to ask you that please help our community, a community that is the most impacted because we do not have access to health care. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Edwin Perez. I'm a member of the Latino community, a member of the Multilingual Community Partnership, a member of the Maryland Community Well Work Group for English Language Learners, and chairperson of the Teachers Association of Baltimore County Minority Affairs Committee. I'm also a Spanish teacher and co-advisor of Unidos Somos Fuerte, Together We're Stronger Latino Student Unit at Parkville High School. Our Baltimore County community continues to welcome multilingual and multicultural students and their families. Therefore, we need to support funding for increased multilingual county and community partnerships that support services for students, families, and schools. We also need to expand funding for programs at parks, rec centers, libraries, and schools that embrace multilingual and multicultural diversity. We also need to increase funding to establish a fully staffed Office of Immigrant Affairs that will serve all of the immigrant communities throughout Baltimore County. Lastly, we need to establish funding for a county-wide multilingual language access policy so that all of our residents can receive county services without any barriers related to language. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Abe Yaffe, and I'm the president of the Cromwell Valley Park Council. We have over 600 members that love the park for its natural beauty and educational programming that is offered. Our council has contributed over $500,000 over just the last 8 years and tens of thousands of volunteer hours towards park improvements over the last 18 years. Since the new year, members of my board and I, along with leaders of the other nature councils, have been in discussions with the Department of Rec and Parks about their initiative to modernize the department and modify its operations. While many of these changes are necessary, I urge you to insist that the nature councils remain an integral part of the park system in Baltimore County. We look after and advocate for the combined 2,600 acres of parkland from a different perspective than a government agency. We're able to accomplish repairs and improvements with greater efficiency of money and time. Through our memberships and events, we create strong connections between the public and the public land. My understanding is that the per capita budget for Rec and Parks is about $19 per person in Baltimore County, while the national average is $95. I urge you to increase funding for this department so it can adequately serve the people of Baltimore County at a level similar to our peer jurisdictions. One of the most pressing needs is for better management of the natural resources, specifically the active threats of invasive species and erosion. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We certainly recognize the differences, and I know that our team at Rec and Parks is trying to work through some of those unique things that you all do, and we are just grateful for the hours and the money that you all put back into those parks. So thank you for the partnership. I don't think we're going to get to $95 this year, but we are proud in the ways in which we have grown the budget there, because we have underfunded rec activities across this county for far too long. It's one of the places we want to keep making progress. So thank you for that.
Buenas noches, una vez más estamos aquí.
Good evening once again. We're here.
Sabemos que es bien importante venir a estas reuniones
We know that it's really important for us to be at these meetings,
y no nada más por mi comunidad hispana,
and not just for the Hispanic community,
porque sabemos que hay otras comunidades que no hablan el idioma tampoco y están sufriendo la discriminación porque no saben el idioma.
We know that there are many other communities across the county that also do not speak English, and they're being discriminated against because they do not speak English.
Pero sí nos gustaría que nos tomara en cuenta, hiciera una oficina para inmigrantes,
But we would like for you to take all of our communities into consideration and create an Office of Immigrant Affairs.
y que hubiera varios lenguajes, porque sabemos que no nada más es el español, hay otros idiomas que les cuesta trabajo aprender el idioma.
And that this office includes services for our multilingual community. We know community members that speak other languages also struggle in learning English.
Esperemos que realmente se logre algo. Sabemos que no es fácil, pero con un poquito de esfuerzo y dedicación se pueden lograr las cosas.
We understand that things aren't easy, that things take work and dedication, but we know that if we put the adequate effort in, that we can make wonderful things happen.
Porque también contribuimos al condado, pagamos impuestos como los ciudadanos que son y nacidos aquí. Entonces sí queremos que también vean la necesidad que hay en nuestras comunidades.
Like other county residents, although we may not be documented, some of us, we also pay taxes and contribute to the well-being of this community, so we would like you to consider us in the same way.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Mia Walsh, the treasurer of Cromwell Valley Park Council. I have a simple question or comment. In 2021, we submitted a citizen-generated request to put some footbridges across the Towson Run, which is on the back end of the Cromwell Valley Park. Since the closure of the entrance to the Providence Road, the only way to access the land that the county purchased from Betty's Gardens is now, you must cross the Towson Run to get to that back part of the land. The council has committed to providing the funds for this, as well as obtaining grants from the Department of Maryland Transportation Recreational Trails Fund, but we need to get movement from the property management and the county for the designer engineering plans before we can move forward on any of that. The financial part, we have a good part of that taken care of, if not all of it. So that's all that I'd like to add.
So I don't know if that's a property management or Rec and Parks or both, but do one of you all want to speak to that?
Yeah, yes, sir. We can take lead on this and work with property management. So Mia, we can come back here and work on that.
So the answer is we're going to work on it.
Yes, sir.
And if you want to just catch up with Director Smith, between he and Deborah Schindel, who's our head of property management, we'll get the three of you synced up and we'll share information and get you a full response, though.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Susan Bollinger, and I am the president of the Baltimore County Volunteer Firefighters Association. I'm here tonight to ask for three important things. First, I ask that you take a hard look at our budget and make sure that there is adequate funding to cover the increases we have had in daily operating costs. Our budget needs to cover the necessities of fuel, utilities, insurance, maintenance, and supplies. We are asking that you continue to fund these items so we don't have to have fundraisers just to cover operating expenses. Second, I ask that you continue to fund the EMS unit replacement program, but at a level that we can replace at least 4 units a year to keep up with the increasing demands of those units to provide adequate service to the citizens of Baltimore County. We need to streamline the process so that we can replace these units in a manner that is efficient and transparent. We need to be frugal with taxpayer dollars while not making the process so complicated that it increases the cost of the units. I especially ask that you find the funds to buy the radios and computers that we desperately need to put additional units in service. We have services ready to go as soon as we can meet the basic needs for equipment to get them in service. This is a necessity for a new service as well as a need to provide spares, because if one of these items fails, we are not putting units out of service for lack of radios and computers. Lastly, I ask that you find a way to get future capital dollars to replace major apparatus such as engines and trucks. We also need to address the capital needs of companies to fix leaking roof, repairs exhaust systems, fix HVAC units, and other issues that affect not only the comfort but the health of our members. The system is broken and we need to work together to fix it so that we can recruit more members and become more sustainable. We have done enough studies. We know we are understaffed and underfunded. We need to work together to fix these issues because when we succeed, we all succeed.
Thank you, Madam President. And I thank all of the other BCVFA members who are with you tonight for doing the Me Alsos as well. Thank you all.
Jeffrey Budnitz, good to see you. I would be remiss not to support the turf field. She gave a very compelling argument, so I can't step back from that. I'm here in a couple capacities. The first is ask for funding for DEPS and DPWT for additional resources and funding for stream and waterway clearing to help prevent localized flooding. In addition to that, I'm requesting additional funding for property management regarding the myriad of assets they need to manage and maintain. And beyond that, I'm asking for funding for Rec and Parks, both to help it become a best practice agency, but bring it in line more with many of the peers in the surrounding area. The funding levels were touched previously. But in addition to that, in my capacity of Lake Roland Nature Council, to look at creative ways to mitigate the impact on the nature councils that, as stated, care for 2,600 acres, especially when I look at the slide of us moving into challenging financial times. There's no cheaper cost than free volunteer labor, so we need to figure out creative ways to be able to sustain that going forward. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dan Burke. I'm the Chief of Hereford Volunteer Ambulance Association in Moncton and also the Vice President of Administration of the Baltimore County Volunteer Firefighters Association. The current budget for the combined career and volunteer fire and EMS operations in Baltimore County is insufficient and, quite frankly, dangerous. The current fire department budget is funded at approximately $152 per resident. This figure pales in comparison to more sparsely populated neighbors in Anne Arundel County at $308 per resident and Howard County at $488 per resident. Even counties of comparable populations like Montgomery and PG are funded at nearly $260 per resident. I urge you and the council to look at how disproportionately our fire and EMS services are funded compared to our neighbors. Specifically, the lack of funding for our fire and EMS services has a significant impact on our volunteer organizations. Organizations have been told the department lacks funding for basic items such as radios and laptops. For a number of years, Hereford Ambulance provided 2 EMS transport units to the Baltimore County community. This service was paused in 2020. We recently acquired a second transport unit utilizing donated funds, and we're eager to put this in service. However, without the funding to provide radios and laptops, this unit will sit in the station and be unable to provide that service to northern Baltimore County. Lastly, I ask that the county continue to ensure the capital budget is inclusive of 4 volunteer ambulances per year, in addition to fire apparatus, as well as capital improvements to volunteer stations. Hereford is currently deeply in need of capital funding to replace our driveway at a cost over $70,000. Baltimore County has a passionate career and volunteer fire and EMS workforce that cares about our community, and Baltimore County deserves to have a well-funded and safe combined fire and EMS service. Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you. Quick question. Do we know how many computers or radios and laptops we need? And do we know what the cost is of that?
I would defer to Susan on that.
Come on up, Susan. Do you want to share, or can you just get that to me as a follow-up?
I can. We have at least 2 units, and we're looking at another one that we need radios for so that we can get them in service.
And what's the cost for each unit? So you got 2 units. What's the cost to fit out?
For the radios, the laptops, the mounting brackets, and the MAR, it's about and the portables, I'm sorry, we're closer to $60,000 or $33,000 a unit.
So we have 2 that could be put in service if we find that money? We'll talk tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm Charlie Fenwick, representing Shawan Downs off of Shawan Road, an equestrian event center. A little data on the equestrian business in the state of Maryland. There are over 90,000 horses, more per square mile, per acre than any other state in the country. And Baltimore County would be in line with the state on that. The state has over 700,000 acres of open space, preserved open space. Baltimore County has 70,000. Shawan Downs has over 250 acres that is preserved and is a gateway to the northern part of the county. It was purchased 25 years ago by a group of county residents who got together, raised the money, and built the facility, bought the facility. Then another 175 county residents contributed money to develop the infrastructure that is there now. But that was 25 years ago. We need to help in redoing a lot of the capital investments that we've made in roads, fencing, show rings, and we just asked the county to help us the way it has in the past in support of what we're trying to do.
Thank you, Charlie. And I appreciate the invitation to come see it. It truly is beautiful for anyone who hasn't made it up there. So thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Chuck Bollinger, and I'm the chief of Hereford Volunteer Fire Company and a past president of the Baltimore County Volunteer Fire Association. I want to start by thanking Johnny O, the fire chief, and Baltimore County for all the support they've given the volunteers. Having said that, volunteer companies in Baltimore County need additional funding in many areas. The cost of providing our services is increasing more rapidly than funding is increasing. The 29 volunteer fire companies in Baltimore County save the county millions and millions of dollars annually, but many are not going to be able to continue without more financial support from the county. The volunteers need an increase above the 2% cap because that increase is completely used up by our LoSAP payment increase. which is something promised to the volunteers that qualify once they reach an age of 60 by the county code, leaving us no room to ask for other increases. Each year, the BCVFA is given a budget target and a number of Tier 1 requests that they can apply for. Because our budget is comparatively small, a 2% increase is very small and does not allow us to keep up with the cost of living. If you get a Tier 1 request, it may not be included in your next year's base budget if you need continued funds, so you either need to keep it as your Tier 1 request or fight to keep it funded. The BCVFA completed the VFSIS study in 2014. Since that date, the county has completed an efficiency study for the entire county and the recent facet study. Although we all strive to provide services directed by these studies, there has not been any effort to fund any of the initiatives in these studies, even though we all agree that the fire department is significantly underfunded. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Good evening, Johnny. Tom Albright, Moncton, Maryland. Thank you very much for coming out tonight, and thank you for being supportive of agriculture. Thank you for creating the Office of Agriculture. I think we've found that it's an overwhelming number of uses and whatnot. We need more staffing. We need the office to find a director. We need it to become a line item budget within the budget, because agriculture is important. It impacts every citizen in this county every day. And that we found that out during the COVID time when you and I worked together. And food insecurity is a tremendous thing. We can address another portion of food insecurity. We have a beautiful farm facility here. County has equipment to be utilized. We need to put a nonprofit within that. We have one, First Fruits Farm is working, and we can provide food, education, all that by utilizing a county facility, utilizing equipment that we already have, training farmers for the future. The average age of an American farmer now is 58 years of age. Baltimore County has taken the initiative to place 70,000 acres in preservation. We've preserved the land, now we need to preserve the farmers. We need to bring a future generation on. I think in the last census, we were now up to almost 800 farmers within the county. But remember what happened in COVID and the number of people that were in need during that period of time. And we need to have food security within our county and producing. We're only days away from not having enough food to feed the people of the county. Thank you very much, Johnny.
Here. Thank you. Good to see you, my friend.
Hello, my name is Jerry Schlenoff. I live in District 3, and I'm a retired Baltimore County teacher, special education teacher, pickleball player, but I am also an exhibit guide and member of the National Aquarium in Baltimore. For firsthand, I've seen the awe and excitement of the students from Baltimore County and Maryland that come to the aquarium for free and learn about the Chesapeake Bay and the animal and the ocean habitats. I want to thank the county executive and the county council for their past support of the National Aquarium, and hope and encourage and support the National Aquarium, which is our gem for Baltimore. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great job.
Good evening. I'm George Mayo, and thanks so much for having us. I'm here to advocate for the Office of Agriculture, and really need to start by thanking you and Councilman Kach and the council for establishing the Office of Ag. It's been a long time coming. The one employee that you have has been amassing an overwhelming amount of requests for services and clarifications and collaboration and coordination within the agencies, within the county, so there's so much to be done. We don't want to lose any ground, and I would advocate that at a very minimum, the budget be retained from 2024 in 2025, but if there's a way to expand that, that would be wonderful, because the need is far greater than anybody imagined. So Tom mentioned the average age of a farmer is 58, and that makes him above average, along with so many of us. No, our goal is to try to get as many youthful folks involved as well. So at so many levels, including education. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And I thank you both for the partnership and the advocacy that you all do for ag. We're lucky to have you both, among others. And for anyone interested, I don't have the exact date, but if you want to find Mandy or Carmen, we do have an agriculture-specific listening session coming up
March 8th, I think?
March 8th, I believe. It's a Saturday,
Yeah.
so would love to have folks who are interested. We'll do a deeper dive on ag-specific issues there as well.
No, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, County Executive. My name is Jennifer Jones, and I've been a member for 6 years of the Jacksonville Senior Center, served on the board for 5 years. We currently have approximately 2,500 members. We urgently request moving forward with the new building on land adjacent to our current center and planning for the following critical inclusions in the building. A separate gym, which can accommodate pickleball, basketball, volleyball, and other fitness programs such as chair yoga, Zumba, Tai Chi, etc. A multi-purpose room to accommodate our train garden, which uses dedicated space, the Macadamia Nuts Musical Ensemble of 12 people, musical instruments, music stands, and sound equipment, which offers free off-site entertainment as well as on-site musical programs. Bingo, which currently accommodates 60 people in our largest room, and other programs requiring accommodating more than 60 people. Inasmuch as we have one of the largest growing senior populations in the state, we beseech you to build a center that will accommodate our future needs, not just our current needs. By doing this now, you will save the county from having to do it again in 5 years when we outgrow the building. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. You know, in addition to loving the train garden that you all do, I have to blame the Jacksonville Senior Center for me being now addicted to pickleball. So it was the first time I played. I lost there. I played again at the Power of Aging Expo. I lost there. But I'm ready for my rematch. I've been playing quite a bit, so I'm ready to bring my A game back to Jacksonville. So thank you very much, Jennifer. It was a great job.
All right, we thank you also, as the other speakers before me, the formation of a new ag department within the county. And we urge you to expedite the naming of a person in charge of this and be able to proceed forward. So the second thing I had in mind was you and I, of course, have a background that we both played basketball in high school and college, even though the Hereford boys were a little bit taller than the guys from Sparrows Point. But currently there's been budgeted a senior center at Hereford on Mount Carmel Road with a facility there, which will probably care for a lot. There are probably over 50 different recreation teams that are looking for places to practice and play. And this is going to take up a lot of space at that area. Now, at the high school, we have over 28 different departments that are different teams that are trying to use the facilities. And we have one of the largest after-school participations of any school in the state. But there's not been since 40 years ago when they built the current gym. It took care of the needs at that time, but it doesn't take care of the needs today. And most of the schools that have been built since then have gyms that are twice the size of Hereford's. So we need this extra space for these kids, and many of the parents have to drive 10, 15 miles one way to get their kids to and from school, and it's important that we have this space there. So we thank you for all that you've been doing to help us. Okay.
Thanks, Wayne. Thank you for your leadership on the planning board as well. Thank you for your leadership on the planning board as well.
Good evening. My name is Ed Fields. We are members.
I knew I should have brought my paddle tonight.
We are members of Jacksonville Senior Center and avid pickleball players. We are here to provide comments on the plans for the construction of our new senior center. Our Jacksonville membership has surged 33% in the last year and is now over 2,500 members. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in both the United States and at our senior center. Pickleball is a sport that is not only popular, but also provides a good physical and cardio workout, is relatively low impact for seniors, and has excellent social benefits. Pickleball fulfills the very mission of our senior center. At present, we have about 400 pickleball players on our roster. We see about 50 players each day and play on 3 indoor courts. For seniors new to our sport, we set aside 1 day a week for beginners. They are taught by several of our more experienced members. We expect to see 150 to 200 new players each year. In essence, we have reached a point that we can't sustain. Recently, we have learned that plans for our new center will only have room for 2 pickleball courts. If the county builds 2 pickleball courts in the new senior center, you are building for the past. If you build 4 courts, you are building for the present. But if you build 6 courts in a nice gymnasium, which can be used in the evening by rec and park for basketball, volleyball, soccer, and other indoor sports, you are building for the future. We are ready and willing to help you plan for the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And on second thought, maybe I am not ready for that rematch, but we'll come do it anyways.
And
Yeah.
we do invite you
No,
to
we'll
come
do it
play
anyways.
pickleball any day you want.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you all so much.
I'm Michael Sonnenfeld. I'm on the board of the Land Preservation Trust. Thank you, County Executive Olszewski, for the opportunity to give our input. Baltimore County has long been a leader in land preservation, and our open space provides fresh food, clean water, and outdoor recreation to everyone in the county. I'd like to ask everyone here who supports open space and land preservation, please rise and yeah.
You need
That's right.
no. You need like trees and.
That's
you know.
right. We didn't have paddles, but we asked that the county increase its current ag land preservation goal to 113,000 acres to meet the state's goal of protecting 80% of the land within our ag priority preservation area, to dedicate at least 1% of the annual capital budget to ag land and open space, add funding for the County Rural Legacy Program, at least $500,000 annually, increase emphasis on acquiring and maintaining open parkland, accessible parkland within the URDL, and provide funds for environmental improvement on private preserved land for stream restoration and controlling invasive species, and to commit to continued funding and office space to support the Baltimore County Land Trust. Preserved land provides open space for recreation, a vibrant ag and equine industry that provides food and jobs in agritourism, and protects sensitive species and ecosystems and promotes climate resilience. Thank you very much for your support.
Yeah, thank you. So you all might notice a theme. I am happy to report that our referendum plan includes yet another increase in our ag pres budget. I don't know that it puts us at the 1%, but I say that because I think that there's a theme in this, whether it's our work with immigrant affairs and creating the first ever office, how much we've invested in our volunteers and our career firefighters, what we've done to sort of ramp up our investment in ag preservation, what we've done in rec and parks. We are making progress in all of these areas, but I'm so grateful that you all continue to push us to be where we want to be and where we need to be. Our goal is to continue to move in those ways and places, and so I just wanted to both thank you all for continuing to push us, but also wanted to just take a moment to acknowledge that we are continuing to move in that direction because of your advocacy. So thank you all.
Great. My name is Ruben Troncoso. I'm a physician at Johns Hopkins. This is more of a public service announcement, so I apologize for taking time, but it certainly affects everyone here. And there's not many places where engaged community members physically get together anymore. And I'll certainly be done within 90 seconds. We're joining the University of Maryland, which was in your presentation, in joining a large clinical trial attempting to help people with traumatic brain injuries. So why should people here listening care? In almost every study, people need to give their consent prior to participating. The one exception is if the study involves emergencies in which the patient's condition doesn't allow them to consent and we can't find a family member to consent them in time. In order to do this legally and ethically, we're required to, 1, inform the community, 2, give the community members a way to provide feedback regarding the study, And 3, provide community members a way to preemptively opt out of the study if they wish to do so. The study will determine if adjusting pressure in the brain versus adjusting the pressure and oxygen levels in the brain are better and safer for people who suffered severe traumatic brain injuries. I'm here all night. I have surveys, brochures, and opt-out information for anybody interested. And if you don't like speaking to me directly, you can visit boost3trial.org. The word boost, BOOST, the number 3, trial.org. Again, boost3trial.org. I'll be here all night. Thank you very much. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you. It's your minute and a half. You should use it however you need to, but we appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Elise Chalmers. I'm here to reinforce what's been said before, but hopefully with some more information, added data. So the first one is to thank you for the Office of Agriculture. The proof of concept is there. It's overused. She's doing an excellent job responding. We need more staff. I would say triple minimum the funding so she can actually proactively put in place an ag development policy. The other bit of data I think is interesting is funding that will help with some skilled and trained staff will help leverage other funds that are out there. As you know, as an example, there's a historic $4 billion that went to supporting regional and local food systems this past 3 years since the pandemic and the realization we have a broken food supply chain. That's $30 million to a regional business center. I don't think Baltimore County has yet the ability to connect to that. That's local farm to school grants. I don't think Baltimore County actually applied for that. We need help to help the school system do that. The procurement officers are overwhelmed, underpaid, and so someone that can connect agriculture to the buyers. There's a new recent legislation for 20% goal of buying local for state-funded institution. Who's helping our farmers connect to that? Secondly, I'd like to thank you for continuing funding of land preservation. I think, again, Mike said it well, we're not just preserving land. When we preserve land, we preserve natural resources. We embrace the diversity of our population. Let's embrace the diversity of our economy and of our land use. Thank you.
Thanks to pickleball, I'm in the best shape of my life. Yeah, pickleball my name is Lucy Wilder, and I'm representing the Lutherville Timonium Rec Council Pickleball League. We have a group of over 500 people, but we had to close our registration after 3 weeks because we only have 2 places to play. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in our state and across the country, and while anyone can play, a large constituency of pickleballers are 50 and over, and we love this game. So with an aging population, this is a way to retain residents and to promote healthy activity across our community. What we're asking for are more courts. As far as I know, we don't even have a single dedicated court in our area. And the thing is, by adding more courts, we can open up this to so many more people and even create opportunities for youth leagues where pickleball is also growing in popularity. There are a number of vacant indoor spaces that could be repurposed, as well as some great outdoor spaces where we could build courts. The thing is, pickleball does not take up much real estate. 6 pickleball courts take up the same amount of space as 2 tennis courts. There are other tennis courts in our area, but they're controlled by Baltimore County Public Schools, and for the most part, they're in unsafe, unstable condition.
Are they high school, middle school, or a mix of?
Yeah, it's a mix.
Okay.
It's definitely a mix, is what I would say. They're also private run facilities, but those memberships range between $600 to almost $1,000 a year, and then you have to pay every time you play. So.
I think some of the lowest hanging fruit might be if you want to grab Director Smith and or someone from Recreation and Parks and run through some of your thoughts on the courts that already exist, but that could use a little bit of love and maybe some relining. We were happy, especially at their school courts, to have that conversation to see if we can sort of coordinate. We're having larger conversations around things like shared use as we sort of talk about reimagining rec generally and how to best, make sure that these amenities are available to our students first, obviously, but then also that they become available for community use, since the community ultimately is funding those as well. So, Bob, are you still here? Are you okay? We'll make sure you guys connect and we can get specific locations that you have in mind.
Do
and
you
we'll take a
think
look.
that there's any opportunity for us to have a dedicated facility, like we've seen in the Lower Eastern Shore, in Salisbury, and Ocean City, and other places?
I think we can certainly take a look at it. We want to hear your idea about places where that might be possible, and we'll take a look at that as part of the budget review process this year.
All right.
So, thank you so much.
Take that out. Hey, good evening. My name is Rick Lobo. I'm a board member emeritus for an organization called Court Appointed Special Advocates of Baltimore County. We're known as CASA, a different CASA. We're a not-for-profit that works one-on-one with kids from infancy to youth adulthood. Again, there are other CASAs, but we're the organization serving children in foster care. Why am I here? I'm here to talk to you about services needed for older youth, 14 and older, and we request funding for our youth engagement specialist through the county budget. Foster care is for children and youth who are removed from their homes due to abuse or neglect or death from their parents or guardians. This is a tragic situation. It's around us. You don't know it, you may not see it. Once removed from their homes, they go through the Baltimore County court system. They're placed in homes with foster parents, and they jump from home to home. It's a tragic, tragic constant. Court-appointed advocates is actually written into Maryland law. It's the only nonprofit authorized to provide mentoring advocacy as part of child welfare. We work in partnership with Department of Social Services, but we're separate. There's no politics in this, and there shouldn't be. I'm a local guy from Parkville, lifelong Baltimore County resident. I've seen my share of tragic and horrible situations and scenarios. I joined CASA because there's no other better organization, mission or not-for-profit, that sets out to change or reshape our youth into citizens and neighbors that will be an asset to society versus a burden or liability to themselves. I also emphasize the need to work with older youth approaching difficult chapters or challenges. I hope I made some sense in 90 seconds and an explanation to you. This position of a youth engagement specialist in all reality represents a rare opportunity to fund an initiative that will yield tangible and intangible returns for the county. Let me just share one last thing. Heard great things about fire departments, about parks and recs, about schools. We need normal people, okay, contributing members of society to be part of these wonderful things that we have. Without helping kids at the youngest age when they need it, of no fault of their own, is the missed opportunity of the evening. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Rick. Appreciate it.
Good evening. Alejandra Balcázar, Latin and Undocumented Student Coordinator at Towson University, Chair of the Education Committee for the Association of Latino Professionals for America, Baltimore chapter, and I am also a member of the New American Task Force. Today, I want to advocate for the education of our young immigrants. As you may know, Spanish is the second most spoken language in the United States. As you have heard today, multiple immigrants, even in this room, are in need of language access to be able to communicate their basic needs. This is applied to educational and healthcare centers, among others. There is a need for ESOL teachers that can support students and families that are not fluent in English. Additionally, there is a big need to have a specialized office that is able to support immigrant affairs and communities in different aspects like health, education, language, and economical development, and that can provide as well spaces where our identities can be honored and reaffirmed in order to enrich the cultural wealth of this country. Finally, I want to advocate for the support of undocumented students in higher education. It is imperative that we are able to support these new young professionals as they get ready to start their professional journey. This can be done through simple resources added to school websites like links to the Maryland Dream Act, and that is in Spanish as well, or workshops in multiple languages on how to apply to four-year colleges, not just community college, because we immigrants not only need, but we deserve a better education. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you, Mr. Olszewski, and your team, as well as Mr. Kach and their team for this opportunity. With regard to the recently proposed artificial turf fields at Sweet Air Park, we strongly recommend not spending exorbitantly for dangerous turf Rather, spend wisely to improve the current grass fields by installing proper drainage, planting better grasses, and more frequent mowing. There are several viable fields if and only if traffic were to pass the Maryland State Highway Mobility Report, which noted in 2015 that the PM peak congestion is especially deficient, averaging 28,000 daily vehicles at Four Corners alone. Any of the current area fields may be prohibitive because of traffic, yet another reason to forego artificial turf and its invitation for increased usage. With any artificial turf fields comes intense heat, outgassing of toxic fumes, and cancer. Look up the data. Nothing but dangerous long-term effects for our youth. This young lady is a perfect example. Is that really the appropriate way to lead, especially after the past 18 years dealing with the Exxon crisis at Four Corners? It is irresponsible to install turf field surfaces at any URDL area because of the toxic chemical runoff into our wells. It's irresponsible to put children's health at stake. We're supposed to lead courageously, not succumb to uninformed and expensive desires because that's what children and parents think they want. As for lights at Sweet Air Park, it's simply too intimately connected to neighborhoods to even think it's acceptable for light and noise pollution until 11 p.m. That's ludicrous, especially when daytime occupancy on the fields is less than 30% on weekends. I encourage us to make healthy choices in our rural community. I feel like we're making a unique request in that we're not asking for money, we're asking you to save money. And we're also aligned with your sustainability issue to have natural grass surfaces. Let's take care of those fields, make them as playable as we can, save the money, and use it for the multiple causes that are far more significant than a turf field in our area. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, County Executive. I'm Sean McIntosh. I'm a Sparks resident. I actually grew up in Timonium, stood on that stage many, many times in high school. I love Baltimore County just like you. I watched the District 2 budget hearings and have heard many great ideas tonight. You have a difficult task ahead of you that's made even more difficult by economic conditions. I recognize that. I'd like to advocate for a transformative approach to government that would improve the health and overall well-being of Baltimore County residents while also having the potential to streamline services and reduce costs. You are most likely aware that Baltimore County currently ranks 15th in county health rankings. I was actually appalled when I found that out. This low ranking is due to high rates of cancer, stroke, cardiovascular disease, and other preventable chronic diseases. I am here to propose that the county adopt a Health in All Policies resolution and create a cross-sector task force to implement this approach. This approach recognizes that health is influenced by a wide range of factors beyond just healthcare, including housing, transportation, education, food security, and more, many things that have been talked about tonight. By integrating health considerations into all policy areas, we can improve the health conditions of all Baltimore County. Investing in a Health in All Policies approach is not just about improving health outcomes. It is about investing in our future. Thank you for your attention and consideration.
Thank you. Is Elizabeth Sachs or Beth here tonight?
Yes, sir, she is.
If you could connect with Elizabeth Sachs, she'd be a great sort of point of contact to talk further about the idea there. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Olszewski. My name is Jeff Shaw. I'm representing Fox Run HOA in Phoenix and other interested groups in the area. We are Sweet Air Park neighbors just 30 yards away. We're opposed to turf and lights at Sweet Air Park, and here's why. This field is too close to our homes to be used at night. Both bright lights and loud noise filling our backyards until 11 p.m., overflow parking on our narrow street, affecting our property values, possible contamination of our wells from chemical runoff. Why urbanize a rural setting? Why spoil the natural appearance? Why dedicate public property for exclusive use? Parking's limited, already dangerous traffic. PFAS, a known carcinogen, is a forever chemical, and it's in the turf. It starts contaminating soil and groundwater with the first rain. And there's a wetland area right next to it. Have we forgotten Exxon? What will the remediation costs be this time? Look at the Gore factory in Cecil. Have you seen the Sunday Sun? Are we paying $1.5 million to carpet and light a green space for 6 weeks a year for a rec league use? This is not economically viable. It's a bad deal.
a wild escalation in expense with only minimal recovery by revenue, rental revenue. Biggest problem now is lack of maintenance. It's not environmentally sustainable either. We're going backwards here. Where's our green Maryland? The service life of turf is only 8 to 10 years before replacement is necessary, and then we strip it off and buy it all over again. This is a Trojan horse with bigger things to come. This would morph our multi-use community park into a dedicated athletic center. Outdoor turf is harder and hotter to play on. It burns your skin when you fall and causes joint and soft tissue injuries. The stink of chemicals will replace the smell of grass and the sweet air you once knew. Pros hate it. Ask the Ravens why they ditched theirs. If you're going to do this, please do it somewhere away from homes on wells.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm Bob Shields, Foxhorn Court. I'm here to talk to you about why we should oppose the installation of artificial turf for a soccer field at Sweet Air Park as well. I don't think it's smart money, and that's the case I'd like to try to make here. Artificial turf is made of several layers of synthetic materials that are mimic natural grass. The top layer is green carpet of plastic or nylon fibers. The second layer is a shock pad. The third layer is a base material, which consists of gravel and sand that are compacted and leveled. And the fourth layer is an infill, usually made from crumb rubber from recycled tires. This is clearly expensive, harmful, and wasteful. First of all, artificial turf is not accessible to everyone. Once it's installed, it typically becomes a restricted area that only authorized users can access. This means that the soccer field will no longer be a public space for everyone to enjoy. It will be a private property that will exclude many of the people who currently have access from walking or relaxing on it. Second, artificial turf is not environmentally friendly. It consumes a lot of water, energy, and resources. It generates a lot of pollution, waste, and health risks. Let me give you some examples. Artificial turf gets hot in the sun, especially in the summer. It could reach temperatures up to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, which is much hotter than natural grass or asphalt. This can cause heat stress, dehydration, and burns for the players and spectators. To cool it down, typically artificial turf needs to be watered frequently, which wastes a lot of water and money. It also creates runoff and carries chemicals and microplastics into the soil and water. These chemicals and microplastics contaminate the groundwater and wells. Oh, I'm done already, huh? Well, right. Third, artificial turf only lasts 8 to 10 years. Every decade we'll have to replace it. It'll go into landfills. So, again, I'm like the others, I'm advocating for natural grass rather than artificial turf. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, dear County Executive. My name is Shu Nixia, and I'm the president of the Chinese American Parent Association of the Baltimore community, in short, CAPA-BC. We are dedicated to serve all Asian Americans in Baltimore County with a focus on education and healthcare. Our organization is one of the 9 similar organizations across Maryland, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. One of our core missions is to promote civic engagement and to foster and celebrate diversity in Baltimore County. Recently, we organized a culture showcase to celebrate the Lunar New Year at different Baltimore County public libraries. As a leader deeply committed to serving the immigrant community, I'm here tonight to ask the county to continue funding the Immigrant Affairs Office in the upcoming county budget. We already heard like twice this evening, so I'm not going to repeat it, even though I have a full page written here. So just in short, this office serving as a lifeline for immigrants, offering us the resources, guidance, and assistance necessary to navigate local systems and institutions successfully. And thank you for attention to this matter, and have a nice evening.
Thank you so much.
Good evening. Renee Hamidi, representing Valleys Planning Council. I have a confession to make. I've never played pickleball. I have, though, preserved hundreds of acres of land in Baltimore County, so I'm very grateful for your continued support of land preservation. I also really like to eat, so I really appreciate your supporting local agriculture. The one thing I didn't hear you talk about, though, was sewers. We all use them if we have them. And I know that there's a lot of money going into the sewers already. I think I reminded you once, you don't want to be the guy that people think about when the sewers overflow. We still have a consent decree. It's almost 20 years old. It's time. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you or the VPC would like an update, actually, I know Director Walker is here with, I don't know if Lauren's here as well, but I will say part of the challenge with the consent decree is not our funding. It's actually, we have to wait for the city to do their parts. And so to the extent we can partner to help sort of apply the pressure to have progress there, I think, I don't want to speak out of school, Director Walker, but I think we are largely funded and ready to go. It's just a function of we can't do some of our work until the city goes, and they actually may have gotten some extensions, which has sort of delayed the work, but we're happy to do a full update. But I actually wholeheartedly agree, so thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Christy Keppel, and I want to thank you and the county council members for your previous support for Summer SNAP for children by funding all eligible kids 5 to 18. I appreciate all you've done for students in the county, and I'm here to urge you to take another important step in supporting the children under 5 as well. As a volunteer for the Student Support Network, a resident of Baltimore County, and the executive director of Weekend Backpacks Baltimore, I know firsthand the prevalence of food insecurity and its devastating consequences. I'm here to urge you to support for full funding of Summer SNAP for children, an efficient and effective program that reduces poverty and food insecurity. While SNAP provides vital support, the benefit levels do not account for the fact that many families still struggle to put food on the table during the summer months when schools are closed, school meals disappear, and child care costs skyrocket. Summer SNAP for children helps fill this gap by automatically adding to existing SNAP food assistant cards. Studies show that the years before kindergarten are crucial to a child's development and growth. In order to help these children be prepared for school, we need to support them during the summer months as well. All funding goes directly to children in the lowest income households and without additional administrative or overhead costs. Will you help ensure that in 2024, all of the qualified children from birth to age 18 receive this vital support? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
First, I'd like to suggest that you put an item in your budget for a chair with a taller seat. You just look uncomfortable to me there. That chair's not made for you.
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, I've had much worse. I think the very first town hall we ever did, I had a wooden stool, and 3 hours later, that was not the best idea, but we'll take that under advisement as well. So
Okay,
thank you.
my name is Ralph Brown, and I am the president of the Oregon Ridge Nature Center Council. And first, I want to thank you and your administration for recognizing that nature is the main attraction at Oregon Ridge. But as the Oregon Ridge Master Plan so thoroughly documented, the nature in our park is in immediate need of protection and restoration. And you can evaluate the health of a forest not by looking up, but by looking down. So when I look up, I see a canopy of magnificent 100-year-old oak trees. I see wonder, but when I look down, I see thorny invasives and very few young oaks. I see the future of the woods when I look down, and it's very depressing. Also, as recommended in the master plan, Oregon Ridge and all the nature parks are in desperate need of highly qualified ecologists who can manage these natural areas. In 2018, a plaque addressed to the youth of Iceland was placed at the site of the first glacier to disappear because of global warming. It read, "This monument is to acknowledge that we know what is happening and what needs to be done. Only you know if we did it." Your budget sets priorities for the now, but it also makes choices about what gets preserved for the future. I'm asking that you be a good ancestor and that you protect and restore our natural lands for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you sit back down, I want to first thank you for your leadership with the Nature Council. I'll reiterate all the things I've said about the amazing nature councils that we have. And I will personally say to you, I want to personally apologize. I know I didn't make the actual decisions or lead to the miscommunications, but I know that there were some miscommunications and some missteps regarding some trail restoration. And I want to personally own that. At the end of the day, I didn't directly oversee any of it, but I'm the head of this government, and I own that. But I want you to know that we sincerely want to work in partnership with you and your members to really make that amenity and that jewel available, not just for folks who currently enjoy it, but for generations to come. And it's my commitment to make sure we get that right with all of you. So I just wanted you to hear that directly from me.
Thank you very much.
Hello. I'm Leslie Grant. I'm a 27-year resident of lovely Glenarm, and it's good to be here. First, I want to thank you for having your citizens be able to have these 90 seconds. Not everybody has that. I don't have a prepared speech, so I'm going to try to be less than my 90 seconds. But I also want you to know that I remember that when you came into office, you were greeted with an unanticipated deficit, so I'm happy we still have a budget to talk about because it was a little frightening way back then to find that out. My son is a 2015 graduate of Delaney, and this high school is older than my high school in Gary, Indiana, so I'm thrilled that we're replacing it. I also want to say, and you've heard me talk about the cryptosporidium contamination in Baltimore City's water supply that impacted Baltimore County, and the lack of notification on the health department's website. Even though there was not a lot of information forthcoming from the city, we still needed to know, and I am concerned that our health department's website, I have to imagine, is seemingly incapable of posting urgent information, which is somewhat devastating when one thinks about the need for emergency response in other situations. So if it's a budgetary matter, I hope you're able to fix that. If it's not, I hope you're able to fix that as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Leslie. Good to see you.
Good evening. My name is Matt Priggle. I'm a fifth-generation dairy farmer in Baltimore County. My family owns and operates Priggle Family Creamery and Farm in Glenarm. I want to stress the importance of the funding of agriculture in the 2024 budget. We have already seen positive steps from the county executive's decision to create an ag business specialist position under economic workforce development. In that position, Jessica Armour-Cross has been present for conversations at the Farm Bureau meetings, farmers clubs, and numerous other agricultural events. She has provided constant communication and clarity for the farmers. My family's business and others were featured in the value-added report and presentation conducted by the Cultivate and Craft, formerly known as Grow and Fortify, this past winter. Farms that implement value-added options showcase the opportunities agriculture has to offer their communities. Value-added products and agritourism enable consumers to have a direct connection to their local farmer. I'm appreciative of the progress and ask the county executive to continue to look closely at the following upcoming budget: to create a line item for the opportunity for the Office of Agriculture and move the management of all Ag Center employees under the Office of Agriculture. I recognize farmers represent a small portion of the population, but food security should be important to everyone in the county. And to demonstrate this point, during the pandemic, when transportation issues were a problem and grocery stores were left bare, the local farmers were there to provide for their community. Lastly, I look forward to seeing you and the councilman at the upcoming listening sessions and meetings this spring. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for some amazing dairy products, too. My stomach doesn't love it, but I love your guys' ice cream. So it's delicious. If you guys haven't checked out Priggle lately, it's really good. So, and thanks for being on the underside of the average farmer. So I'm glad to see we've got some folks coming up on that.
There's only a few of us.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's Morgan Brooks. I am a resident of District 2. I live in Fox Hill and Sparks. And I wanted to tell you that I love the aquarium. I work there. I'm a volunteer. I specifically do sea turtle rehabilitation for the most endangered species in the world currently. And so we wanted to say that we really appreciate your support and the county's support. Growing up, I've been a huge fan of going with my family and my friends and just seeing the spark of interest and enlights in a lot of people about the natural world, so much so that I'm going to practice environmental law in the future. And I like to dedicate that to the fact that we have such a gem, as already said, in Baltimore City. And For upcoming the budget 2025, we'd really appreciate your continued support. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for volunteering there. That's amazing. My daughter also loves her time at the aquarium. And Dory Henry, my chief of staff, is our board representative. So Dory, I don't know if you're here and want to wave. Thank you. But thank you so much.
Good evening. First of all, I'm Sue Betzel from the Hereford Senior Center Council. I'm the board's president. And I'd first like to thank you for providing funds to purchase land for our senior center. We are very much appreciative of that. And we're hoping that the funding will continue for the next phase too. And I'd just like to make the point that we have been in existence for 40-some years, and we're the only center in the county that has never had its own building. So we're looking forward to having our own building, and thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. It is absolutely our commitment. When I was campaigning for this office, it was sort of staggering to learn that you all had to meet on the second floor of a volunteer fire department to meet. But it's a testament to you and your leadership and your members that you've been able to meet and gather for so long. But it's time for you to have your own space as well. So thank you very much. I think that's the last of folks who are lined up. So let me just say again, please accept my gratitude for your presence here tonight and throughout the work that we've done. I know that Councilman Kach wishes he could have been here again, but we all wish him a full and speedy recovery. I want to thank again the members of the Baltimore County team for your presence. Thank you again to Principal Wynkoop and the Delaney family for hosting us. I keep this book with me throughout the budget town halls. I review it as we're going through the budget. We talk to our council members, but really appreciate the partnership. It's a real honor and pleasure to have this opportunity to work with all of you. Looking forward to the budget. So thanks, everybody. Have a great night.